All right, golf fans, get ready, because today we're going deep on Marco Simone. You know, the course that hosted the 2023 Ryder Cup and is set to host it again in 2024. You guys sent in a ton of articles and notes about it, and let me tell you, it's got more twists and turns than a Hitchcock film. We're talking about a course built on a 1,000-year-old castle estate, Italian countryside, views of Rome, holes designed specifically for that match play drama.
Yeah, it really is a fascinating blend, history, design, strategy, and what makes it even more interesting is that it underwent a complete redesign just recently, back in 2018, led by European golf design and Tom Fazio II. They had a very specific goal in mind, to create a course that was perfectly suited for the Ryder Cup.
So let's tee off on this deep dive. Picture this. You're standing on the first tee, feeling that pressure of representing your team. Rome shimmering in the distance. What kind of challenge does Marco Simone throw at you right out of the gate?
Well, it doesn't ease you in, that's for sure. Hole 1 is an uphill par 4, demanding both power and accuracy right from the start. What's interesting about this green is that it's angled over a bunker, and there's a ridge running across the front. So it's not just about hitting the green, it's about hitting the right section of the green to have a chance at birdie.
So even if you bomb a drive, a poorly placed approach shot could leave you with a tricky uphill putt. Okay, what about hole 2? Does it continue this trend of demanding precision?
Hole 2 is where that match play strategy really starts to come into focus. It's another par 4, but this one is all about that classic risk-reward dilemma. They've strategically placed a bunker about 250 yards out, right in the landing zone for a lot of players.
Ooh, I can see the gears turning in a captain's head already. Do you send out your bomber who might try to clear the bunker? Set up an easier approach? Or play it safe and maybe give up some yardage?
Exactly, and the decision-making is so different in match play compared to stroke play. In stroke play, you're just trying to minimize your score for the entire round, so taking the safe route might be the smarter play. But in match play, you're trying to win each individual hole, so you might be more inclined to gamble, especially if you're down a hole or two.
So Marco Simone is practically forcing players and captains to think differently, to be more aggressive. I love it. All right, hole 3. Keep this strategic roller coaster going.
Hole 3 is another shorter par 4, and it's tempting to try and cut the corner off the tee, but that's where those infamous and native grasses come into play. They're thick, they're dense, and they can absolutely wreck your score.
So it's a high-risk, high-reward gamble. You could end up with a short chip shot to the green or hacking out of the rough. I'm starting to see why they call this course a battleground.
And it's not just the individual players who have to strategize. Think about the Ryder Cup captains. They have to consider these factors when they're pairing up their players. Do you put 2 aggressive players together on a hole like this, hoping they both go for it and one of them pulls it off? Or do you mix a conservative player with a risk taker, hoping to play for par and capitalize on your opponent's mistakes?
It's like chess with golf clubs. Okay, hole 4. What's in store for us next?
Hole 4 is a bit of a change of pace. It's a short par 3 nestled in a cove with bunkers guarding the green. At first glance, it might seem like a breather hole, but there's a hidden challenge here.
Oh, I'm sure there is. There's always a catch at Marco Simone, right?
Exactly. The wind swirls around this cove, making club selection incredibly tricky. What looks like a simple wedge shot can turn into a nightmare if you don't factor in the wind. And the green is small and well protected, so even if you hit the green, you're not guaranteed a par.
So even on the shorter holes,
Yeah.
you can't let your guard down. This course is relentless.
And that's what makes it such a great test of golf. You have to use every club in your bag, you have to think strategically, and you have to be able to adapt to changing conditions.
All right, on to hole 5. Finally, a chance to cool off with some water hazards.
You got it. Hole 5 is a short par 4, and it features the first water hazard on the course. But here's where things get really interesting. The tee can be moved up.
Wait, what? The tee can be moved up. How does that impact the strategy?
Imagine this. You're in a tight Ryder Cup match, and the tee is moved up, making it possible to drive the green. Do you go for the glory and risk putting your ball in the water, or do you play it safe and lay up?
I can't even imagine the pressure. I'd probably be shaking over that tee shot.
And the beauty of it is that the captains have to make that decision for their players. Do they send them out with the driver, or tell them to play it safe with an iron? It adds a whole new level of strategy to the match.
All right, I'm hooked. What about hole 6? Does it keep up this level of intensity?
Hole 6 is actually a bit of a throwback. It's the only hole left from the original design, and they kept it because it's a classic.
Okay, let me guess. It's a deceptively simple par 3 that looks easy, but is actually a nightmare.
Not quite. It's a short par 4 that doglegs to the right, and it tempts players to cut the corner over some trees, But the green is full of ridges and slopes, putting a real mental game. So even though it's a shorter hole, you can still rack up a big number if you're not careful.
So it's a test of precision and strategy, just in a different way. I like it. It keeps you on your toes.
And that's what the designers were aiming for. They wanted a course that would challenge players in different ways, that would force them to think and adapt.
Well, they've certainly succeeded so far. Okay. Hole 7. Bring on the next challenge.
Hole 7 is visually stunning. It's a downhill par 3 where you tee off from a high point with Rome in the background. But don't let the scenery distract you. This hole is full of subtle challenges.
Oh, I'm sure those picture-perfect views are just a way to lull you into a false sense of security.
Exactly. There are slopes and hidden hills around the green that you can't see from the tee, so what looks like a straightforward shot can quickly turn into a tricky up and down.
All right, we're approaching the end of the front 9.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about holes 8 and 9?
Holes 8 and 9 play back and forth around a newly added stream, and they really showcase the designer's ability to use water hazards effectively. Hole 8 is a long par 5 that's reachable in 2, but that second shot has to carry over the water. So if you're aggressive and go for the green, you could be rewarded with an eagle or a birdie, but if you miss, you're looking at a bogey or worse.
So again, it's all about that risk-reward balance that makes match play so exciting.
And hole 9 reverses direction. So you're now hitting over the same water hazard, but from the opposite direction. To add to the challenge, they've strategically placed umbrella pines right in the landing area off the tee. So it's not just about avoiding the water, it's about hitting a precise tee shot to set up your approach.
Talk about a pressure cooker. So the front 9 has a bit of everything. Power shots, precision approaches, risk-reward gambles, and those incredible views. What awaits us on the back 9? Tell me it gets even more intense.
Oh, the back 9 is where things really get interesting. We move from demanding precision to strategic decisions with a whole new level of intensity. Buckle up, because hole 10 is ready to test even the best players in the world.
Okay, I'm ready for the challenge. What makes this hole stand out from the rest?
Hole 10. It's a monster par 4 that bends sharply to the left and the fairway. It narrows dramatically as you get closer to the green, creating this bottleneck effect. Imagine trying to thread a needle with your tee shot, with the weight of the Ryder Cup on your shoulder.
Oh, that sounds terrifying. You practically have to hit a perfect tee shot just to avoid the trees.
And if you do manage to hit the fairway, the green is no picnic either. It's heavily guarded by bunkers, and it has some serious slopes. That can send your ball rolling off the putting surface. One mistake here. And you could easily walk away with a double bogey.
So it's a potential turning point in a match. You could gain a significant advantage with a birdie or eagle, but you could also lose all your momentum with a big number.
Exactly. And for the Ryder Cup captains, this is a key hole for strategic pairings. Do you send out your steady Eddie, who can hopefully grind out a par, or do you gamble with a big hitter who could go for the green in 2, but also has the potential to,
Implode. Man, the pressure must be immense for both players and captains. All right, after that beast of a hole, does hole 11 offer any reprieve?
Hole 11 is a drivable par 4, so on the surface it might seem less daunting, but don't let that fool you. It's deceptively challenging, especially in a match play setting.
Hold on. A drivable par 4. Isn't that a bit too easy for a course designed to test the best? How does that fit into the whole match play battleground concept?
That's a great question. You'd think it would be an automatic birdie opportunity, right? But the thing is, it plays uphill the entire way. And the green is perched on a plateau with a steep drop-off at the back. So if you try to drive the green and miss, your ball could end up rolling a long way back down the fairway, leaving you with a very tricky chip shot.
So it's not as straightforward as it seems. It becomes more of a mind game, trying to decide whether to go for the green or play it safe.
Exactly. And again, the decision-making is so different in match play. You might feel more pressure to go for the green if you're trailing in the match, even if it's not the smartest play from a purely strategic standpoint.
Okay. I'm starting to understand the nuances of this course. It's not just about hitting great shots. It's about making smart decisions under pressure. What about hole 12? Does it continue this trend of strategic challenges?
Hole 12 is a bit of a contrast to the previous 2 holes. It's all about the view. You tee off from the highest point on the course, and you have this panoramic vista of Rome stretching out before you.
Wow, that sounds incredible. But I bet those breathtaking views could also be a major distraction.
Oh, absolutely. You have to stay focused. Because the approach shot is no joke. The green is small, it's tucked away, and guarded by some deep bunkers. It requires pinpoint accuracy, especially if the wind is blowing.
So it's a test of both your skill and your ability to block out distractions. They say golf is a mental game, and this course seems to embody that perfectly.
I completely agree. And that's what makes it such a fascinating venue for the Ryder Cup. The pressure is already so high in that event, and this course just amplifies it.
All right, hole 13. Keep those challenges coming.
Hole 13 is a short but challenging par 3. It's completely open, so the wind can be a major factor, and the green is tiny and surrounded by trouble. It's like a little island perched precariously on the edge of a cliff.
So even a slight miscalculation on the wind could leave you scrambling for a par. What would you say is the key to conquering this hole?
Short game skills are crucial here. If you miss the green, you need to be able to chip and putt with precision to salvage a par, and even if you hit the green, the putting surface is so undulating that you'll need a delicate touch to avoid a 3-putt.
Okay. I'm getting the sense that a good short game is essential at Marco Simone. It's not just about those long, powerful drives. It's about all aspects of the game.
That's right, and that's what makes it such a great test. For the best players in the world, they can't just rely on 1 or 2 strengths. They need to have a complete game to succeed here.
Okay, on to hole 14, another par 4. How does it compare to some of the other demanding par 4s we've seen so far?
Hole 14 is a beast. It's a long par 4 with a downhill tee shot followed by an uphill approach. And to make matters worse, the fairway slopes dramatically from right to left, creating a side hill lie for most tee shots.
So even if you hit a good drive, you could end up with a really tough second shot.
Exactly. You need both power and precision to score well on this hole. It's a true test of your shot-making abilities.
All right, as we get closer to the final holes, the tension must be building for those Ryder Cup matches. What about hole 15? Does it offer any chance to catch your breath? Or is it another nail-biter?
Hole 15 is where the course throws you another curveball. It's a tough par 4 that weaves through those signature Marco Simone ridges. And here's the kicker. Both the tee shot and the approach shot are blind.
Blind. You mean you can't even see where you're aiming? That sounds incredibly challenging, especially under the pressure of the Ryder Cup.
It is. You have to trust your yardage book, commit to your shot, and hope for the best. There's no room for second-guessing yourself here.
I imagine a lot of players will be relying on their caddies for guidance on this hole. A good read of the terrain could make all the difference.
Absolutely, and that's another interesting aspect of match play strategy. The role of the caddy becomes even more important. They're not just carrying the bag, they're acting as a second set of eyes, offering crucial advice to their player.
The suspense is killing me. Tell me about hole 16.
Hole 16 is a dogleg left, and the tee shot is absolutely crucial. You have to carry it over a ravine with out of bounds to the left and trees blocking the right side.
So no margin for error. It sounds like a real risk-reward hole, especially match play.
Exactly. You could try to cut the corner off the tee and set yourself up for a shorter approach. But if you miss, you're in big trouble. It's a classic example of how this course forces you to make tough decisions.
Okay, we're down to the last 2 holes. What does hole 17 throw at us?
Hole 17 is a short par 3, but it's far from easy. It plays over a valley to a tiny green that's perched on a hillside and heavily guarded by bunkers. Just getting your tee shot onto the putting surface is a victory here.
It sounds like a hole where par is a great score.
Yeah,
Especially with all the pressure of a Ryder Cup match.
absolutely. And even if you're not playing in the Ryder Cup, this is the kind of hole that can really test your mental game. It's a short shot, but the consequences of a miss are significant.
And now for the grand finale. Hole 18. How does Marco Simone send us off? Is it a gentle walk to the clubhouse? Or one last dramatic test?
Hole 18 is the perfect ending to this dramatic course. It's a long par 5. That dogleg's right around the lake with a downhill tee shot. It's a chance for those big hitters to really let loose and try to go for the green in 2.
I can just imagine the roar of the crowd as those bombs sail through the air.
But even if you do reach the green in 2, the drama isn't over. The green is elevated and heavily guarded by bunkers, so those final putts will be fraught with tension.
So it's a risk-reward hole all the way to the end. You could walk away with an eagle or a birdie to win the match, or you could make a costly mistake and hand the victory to your opponent.
Exactly. And that's what makes match play golf so compelling. It all comes down to those final few holes. And the pressure is incredible. And on a course like Marco Simone, with its unique design features and strategic challenges, the drama is amplified tenfold.
You've painted a vivid picture of this course, and I'm starting to understand why it was chosen to host the Ryder Cup. It's not just about hitting great shots. It's about strategy, decision-making, and mental toughness. But what about the spectators? What's it like to experience the Ryder Cup at Marco Simone?
Well, first of all, the setting itself is unlike any other Ryder Cup venue. Imagine the intensity of a close match, playing out against the backdrop of the Italian countryside, rolling hills, umbrella pines, even glimpses of Rome in the distance.
That's not your typical sterile golf environment, that's for sure. You're really immersed in the history and the landscape.
Exactly. And the course is designed to create a stadium-like atmosphere for the fans. There are natural amphitheaters around some of the greens, so you can really feel the energy of the crowd.
Mm.
And the fans at the Ryder Cup are notoriously passionate, so I expect the atmosphere at Marco Simone to be electric.
So it's not just about watching golf, it's about being a part of something bigger, experiencing the passion and the drama firsthand.
Right. And there's something special about seeing the best players in the world going head-to-head in a team format. The individual battles are intense, but it's the overall team competition that really captures the imagination. And on a course like this, where every shot matters and the momentum can shift so quickly, the drama is just amplified.
You know, speaking of drama, we've talked a lot about the strategic design of the course, but there's another layer to Marco Simone that I find fascinating. It's history.
Ah, yes. Marco Simone is steeped in history, dating back centuries. The course is actually built on the grounds of a castle. That dates back to the year 1000. Can you imagine the stories those walls could tell? From medieval knights to Renaissance artists, this place has seen it all.
Wow, that's incredible. So it's not just the golf that makes this place special. It's the sense of history and tradition that surrounds it.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're playing golf through time.
Exactly. And that history adds another layer of meaning to the Ryder Cup being played here. It's a clash of modern-day titans against the backdrop of ancient Rome. It's a reminder that golf, while a game of skill and strategy, also has a rich and fascinating past. And it makes you wonder, how would some of the golfing legends of the past have fared on this course?
I love that thought. It's like you're connecting different eras of golf through this one special place.
And it's not just the history, it's the connection to the surrounding landscape that struck me as well. The designers didn't just build a golf course, they integrated it into the natural beauty of the Italian countryside.
You mentioned earlier how they used the existing hills and valleys to create strategic challenges, but it sounds like it's more than that. It's almost like they've created a living, breathing work of art.
Yeah, there's a real sense of place here. The course is framed by rolling hills, dotted with umbrella pines, and you can even catch glimpses of the Roman skyline in the distance. It's truly breathtaking, and I think it adds an element of serenity to the game, even amidst the intensity of the Ryder Cup.
It sounds like playing golf at Marco Simone is an experience that goes beyond just hitting the ball. It's about connecting with nature, with history,
Yeah.
and with the spirit of the game itself.
Beautifully put, and I think that's what makes it such a perfect setting for the Ryder Cup. It's not just a golf tournament, it's a celebration of all those things. The
Yeah.
passion, the camaraderie, the history, and the love of the game.
Well said. After our deep dive into Marco Simone, I'm feeling inspired, not just to play golf, but to experience this amazing course for myself.
I feel the same way, and I'm sure the players and the fans who will be a part of the 2024 Ryder Cup will feel that same sense of awe and excitement.
Well, there you have it, folks. Our deep dive into Marco Simone, a golf course that's redefining what it means to host a major championship. We've talked about its strategic challenges, stunning visuals, rich history, and its connection to the heart and soul of the Ryder Cup. And I think it's safe to say that this course is going to be a game changer, not just for the Ryder Cup, but for the future of golf course design. So next time you're planning a golf trip, consider making a pilgrimage to Marco Simone. It's an experience you won't soon forget. And until then, keep those clubs swinging. That's it for this deep dive. We'll be back soon with another fascinating topic, so stay tuned.